Hello everyone, Ash here. It's time for another chapter of Sailor Moon. This time, Chapter 10, Moon. So they decide to go to the moon, and Luna explains it's best if we start planning this right away. And they should do it during the next full moon. So Mercury starts looking up information about the moon and stuff, and comes up with some things saying it's going to be very hard to do this trip, and so on and so forth. They also notice that Usagi-chan is starting to look better. However, though, she has actually physically changed. She's no longer the same goofy kid she once was. In fact, at one point, even her dad notices that she's different. He even doesn't. He even says, "Doesn't Bunny sometimes look like a different person? Like before we know it. She's becoming an adult and will vanish from his house soon." Usagi's mom goes, "That won't happen." She goes, "Bunny will always be our little spoiled daughter." And that's kind of that's one of the things I really liked is that they changed her character a lot. I mean, yeah, she'll go back to being the klutz once in a while, but for the most part, she's really changed. In the manga, she's going to be a very different person than what she used to be. I really like that, and I like the fact they actually did it that way for this character. I don't want to talk about the anime right now, so yeah. Don't want to, but that's one thing I really liked. Anyways, they all get ready to head up to go to the moon because that night's a full moon, so Luna asks, "Is everyone in top shape?" They all say yes. Then they all head to the park. Usagi sees the pocket watch that she got from Momo-chan, and she remembers that they were going to do a trade next time they met. She's thinking about him, wondering if he's okay. She starts to have a bit of a breakdown for a moment. But after a little bit of coming down, they all get ready. They see, it looks like a puddle. It's like a giant puddle right there, like a giant splash right there. They all use their moon prism power makeup to transform, and they're off to the moon. And they land there, and it is dark. They cannot believe how dark it is there. And it's not a sound. It feels very weird. Of course, Usagi's scared, and Jupiter says, "Say, Usagi, here's a true moon bunny." And Usagi's just like, slump. So they all walk down, and they see the Moon Kingdom. Luna explains about the Moon Kingdom and says what certain areas were and what certain areas were meant to be. Then they come across a sword. Eventually, Sailor Venus pulls out the sword from the stone. Clever reference right there from King Arthur's Sword in the Stone. And what pops up is Queen Serenity. Now, something I actually do want to kind of bring up, and I'm kind of curious which one came first, because not the King Arthur, we all know that came first, but I'm curious to know if that, with her pulling out the stone, came before Gohan pulling out the sword in Dragon Ball Z when he pulled out the Z sword. I wonder which one came first, because I'm honestly fully convinced whichever one did, they kind of got the other one. Akira Toriyama, if he saw this, he may have gotten the idea to do that from this scene in Sailor Moon. Or vice versa. Noko Takanichi actually saw the Z sword and decided to do the pulling of sword out. I wonder if that was where their idea came from, where the ideas came from. Again, it's just I'm more curious about the thing, if they got the idea, if one of them got the idea for each other. Again, I'd have to look at which chapter came first. Gohan pulling out the Z sword, or Sailor Venus pulling out that sword. I'm not sure which one came first. I'd have to look at the dates, but yeah. It'd be kind of cool if they actually got that idea from one or the other. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up as a random fact. But we see Queen Serenity, or what's left of her. All her images and memories are all in sort of a little program. She explains everything to Usagi, that the Moon Kingdom used to be a beautiful place, and how she knew that Usagi-chan would sneak to Earth to be with Tuxedo Mask, Momo-chan. And she gets a scolding for doing it, but she doesn't care. She wanted to see him, so she'd do it, which eventually eventually a new and evil force came in, and Momo-chan was the only one able to see it because it took over the Earth, and a massive fight broke out. And during the battle, Tuxedo Mask was killed. Then Usagi took her own life, aka Princess Serenity took her own life. And then after that, Queen Serenity used the Silver Crystal to vanish the evil and to put Usagi and everyone in and let everyone be reborn with the power of the legendary Silver Crystal. The true power of the legendary Silver Crystal. Your Majesty, legendary crystal is acting strange. They tell about how part of it was in Mamoru-chan. And she goes, "You wanted to save him, Princess Serenity, and in that moment you executed your will. Is that it? You were so worried and so anxiously showed in your eyes, didn't it, Serenity? It'll be fine. He's alive, I'm sure. Relax." Queen Serenity is a very kind person, a very sweet person. I really like her. But unfortunately, her powers, she's losing power and it's starting to fade. Usagi tries to use the Silver Crystal to save her, but it's too late and she's gone. The sun's starting to rise, so they all head back. Here we see that. I'm trying to remember his name. God. Hold on, I'm trying to remember the final King of Heaven. The four kings of Heaven, what his name again is. Hold on, I'm looking. Some of these I Kinzite, yeah, Kunzite, my bad. So basically, he looks and sees, he knows that who he used to serve Prince Edmund loyally, and he sees that the Great Ruler and Queen Beryl are talking about they need to get the legendary Silver Crystal, and they tell Kinzite to get that he needs to get, and failure will not be an option. And how she's controlling him is through a crystal in his head. Even if he becomes one of the four kings of heaven, he'll still be her puppet. Sucks for him. For him. So after that, we see that Kinzite has launched a massive attack in Tokyo, freezing everything, so he can help gather energy for Queen Beryl. There also, Luna's discovered where the enemy base might be. It's looking like it's in the North Pole. But they realize, Kinzite's attacking, and so they all transform and are trying to fight. And they're about to fight when someone uses her moon healing escalation and heals everyone. Kinzite sees the legendary Silver Crystal. He wants it, and he says to give it to her, and she'll get back Momo-chan as a corpse. Oh, that is cold. And then, basically, the other guardians tell Usagi that they're going to combine their strength, and for her to tell her to stick an electric barrier for herself, as all four guardians use their power to combine their powers together and launch an attack, a Sailor Planet attack, which wipes out Kinzite. They see if Sailor Moon's alright, and she's thinking about Tuxedo Mask. Then we see that Queen Beryl goes, "Kinzite, you pathetic fool. Now the bodies of my sweet four kings of heaven combined, crumbled, and turned to stone. I call my great Queen Ruler, your power granted to me, the power to awaken." Prince Edmund, you are my puppet now. Your orders are to murder the princess of the Kingdom of the Moon, Silver Millennium, and steal the legendary Silver Crystal. And thus our chapter ends. Oh, it wasn't quite as... It was definitely cool to see the moon. Wasn't quite on the same level as the last chapter I read, the one before that, which was a really, really good one. But definitely a good chapter all around. And so far, we are almost finished up with Volume 2. We're on the final chapter of Volume 2, and we'll go on to Volume 3, where we will wrap up our first arc of Sailor Moon in Chapter 3, but one more chapter left in Volume 2. Anyways, this is Ash. Thanks so long. I'm out. Good night.